For the fifth activity of our workshop, I will demonstrate Step 5 of the Financial Statement Analysis Framework. Step 5 checklist consists of 4 main components. Firstly, developing recommendation. Secondly, performing a SWOT analysis. Thirdly, risk analysis. And lastly, reward analysis. Let's begin with the developing recommendation. It requires us to list down all the key findings and generate recommendations for each of them. For instance, in Blackwing report, the first key finding is that the retail stores are generally not doing well because of the large store closure caused by COVID-19. A recommendation that the team has generated for the finding is to build an online presence to recover some of the sales. Next, remember the question that we have came out in step 1. For each of the recommendation, we have to ask ourselves which question does it answer. So for the first key finding on the retail store facing large closure, this answers 2 of the questions we have actually identified at the start of our report, and they are: what are the reasons behind the declining sales, and how have our FMCG competitor been doing in the past few years? Next, we have to ask ourselves, who is this recommendation for? Will it concern the manager or the executive for higher level decisions that have to be made? Lastly, you have to actually address the timeline for the recommendation. For example, building an online presence, we know that it will take approximately around 6 months to complete it. After setting out the recommendation timeline, we can proceed to the second component of activity 5, which is the SWOT analysis. The SWOT analysis stands for strength, weaknesses, opportunity, and threat. We have 3 to 5 guiding questions. For each of them, they can help you to identify based on your own business. Firstly, for strength, begin by identifying what your company does well. For example, Blackwing is strong in advertising, and we have actually received most very good customer service from our retail store. Next, what resources do you have to actually execute this, and what expertise do you have? Blackwing have a very strong industry knowledge since its management team is formed by industry experts who has been in the FMCG field for over 25 years. We also have very stable funding from our investor. And lastly, what advantages do you have over your competitor? For Blackwing, the retail stores are more strategically located at places with very high accessibility, giving them an edge over the competitor when it comes to traction. Moving on to the weakness, begin by identifying the resources that your company is lacking. Blackwing is currently only operate on retail store, and its online presence might bring in more sales. Additionally, it is also very difficult to capture customer review without a proper platform that the customer can feedback to. Next, identify which part of the recommendation are not profitable. For Blackwing, building an online presence, there will be a cost incurred. So that part is actually not profitable, but we have to look at the long-term kind of impact. Next question that you have to ask yourself is, which part of this will actually cost you the most time? The technology side of pivoting the business online for Blackwing will be the most time consuming. Alongside setting up a team to manage this new initiative will actually cost us time too. And last but not least, which part of this will cost you money? After successfully identifying your strengths and weaknesses, you can look at external factors such as opportunity and threat. For opportunity, try to identify what your competitor has missed. In this case, the Blackwing competitor did not identify the trend of the beauty care product, and no one has yet to launch any of such new product catering to the change in taste and consumer preference. Next, identify the emerging needs of the consumer, which is an increase in demand for beauty care products. Then, how can you use the resources and expertise to cut costs and enhance the reach? Do you have adequate expertise and resources to build your online presence? Or could we consider leverage existing e-commerce platforms such as Lazada and Shopee to sell the product? Lastly, are there any new product segments to exploit? Next, we actually move on to the threat. What are your competitors doing well? Why is this happening in the industry, and how will it actually have huge changes in the economy that actually will affect Blackwing? Blackwing competitors are doing well in shifting their business online and offline platform as there is a large store closure caused by COVID-19. This actually have an effect on the number of sales in a brick and mortar store can generate. Thankfully, for FMCG still see a very steady growth because it is seen as a necessity and basic care needs are also demand. With that, we have finished performing our SWOT analysis, and we'll move on to the third segment of the activity, which is about risk analysis. We have categorized risk into 6 different types of risk, which is operational, second, reputational, third, financial, fourth, technical, fifth, natural, and sixth, political. First, you have to actually identify the possible threat and list them under the second column according to which type of risk category. Subsequently, estimate the risk value according to the formula covered in section 6.3 of this course. Lastly, decide how you want to actually manage the risk by either avoiding it, sharing it, accepting it, or controlling it. You can have one or more decisions to manage each of the risks. For instance, for the natural risk that we have identified for Black Week, the team has decided to accept the risk of COVID-19 worsening because there is no way to avoid it. At the same time, the team will control this risk by implementing measures to reduce the manpower losses and actually direct the sales more onto online site. Finally, to our last segment on reward analysis, list down all the recommendations that has been made in the first segment of these activities. Then, regarding the same recommendation, identify tangible and intangible rewards that the recommendation can bring to each of the stakeholders. For instance, for the very first recommendation of building an online presence in the marketplace, the tangible reward it can bring to a company are attracting more sales and recovering losses from the retail store. At the same time, the intangible reward for the company is getting a very positive company image that we can keep up with the technological and industry trend. Next, perform this analysis for the other two stakeholders, the employee and the customer as well. If there is no benefit, you can identify for the stakeholders, put a NIL in the respective field. With that, we have come to the end of the 4 segment of the workshop activity 5. It's a lot of information, but I hope you now understand how to approach this workshop template. I'll see you in the next video for our last activity.